All right.
So,
All right. So Angela, you did say you were having somebody come in and they can come in a little later and we can catch them up if they have any questions. Okay.
Great, thank you.
very good. Well, thank you. Welcome, everybody. We appreciate you being here today. I'm Peggy with the Human Services Alliance. I'm the Interim Executive Director, and both of my compliance staff, Wynn and Tashbia, join us here today as well. And we're going to be talking about the expanded ARPA qualifications, how they looked at what's going on in the community. They realized that COVID is absolutely still a thing, but if we can make it a little bit easier to get the services out to the people, they agreed to do that. So because of that, we needed to make some fine tuning and adjustments to our forms so that you all can enter that information in the system. And that's what my team is going to be talking to you about. So without further ado, I will ask Wynn to go ahead and screen share and begin the show.
All right, everyone. So before I start to try and fill out try to like fake fill out this application, I wanted to ask if it is okay if I proxy as somebody, meaning I just pretend to be them on their account. So that way you guys can see it from your point of view. I can pretend to be an applicant all I want, but it makes it easier if you guys can see it from, like, say, your perspective by using your actual like email. Is anyone okay with me proxying as them?
I'm fine with that. Do I have to know my password?
No, you don't actually.
You can get into my, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yes, the fun thing about proxying is that if I just type in your name, Maya, I can just hit this and it
Magical.
just lets me pretend to be you.
There you go.
Exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit apply.
And for me, I'll wait for Melissa to pop on because she does this portion of the recording.
Okay. And again, if Melissa has any questions, she can feel free to, jump in and ask, and then I can go back as well. So we're going to type in the access code, which is HSA ARPA. I've typed that way too many times. So as you see, we have this thing called the new individual expenditure report because we had to update not only the criteria, but how the form shows those criteria. So I'm going to hit apply on here. Our form now starts with this lovely section called usable resources. This is resources that you, maybe not you directly as the partners here in this session, but you as in general partners have asked about. So we have the actual checklist for what happens with the expanded ARPA qualifications. We have a new thing for people who are doing rent assistance for what is coming up around this month and the start of next month. Then we have updated forms for COVID impact and financial impact. They come in both English and Spanish, and you guys can choose which one helps your clients the best. We have a new income threshold chart, which I will also show you guys. A new zip code checker. We have a staffing report checklist because this has been something we have noticed in the past that we've had a lot of questions about. So we made a document to help you guys with that. The old Foundant training video playlist, because it does still apply to people like doing food administration, doing mental health, that kind of thing. And then finally, we have your disbursement request link. This is available at all times throughout the process of filling out the form, and you guys will be able to use them as often as you need while you are filling out your form. So you can open them and double check everything as you're doing it. So Maya, you work for Tenants and Workers United. I swear I can type. But we're going to do Maya Taylor because I'm proxying as you. So Maya, remind me what Tenants and Workers does. It's employment, correct? It's employment help?
We do service navigation.
Service navigation. Okay, good. So benefits navigation is actually the first thing I need to talk about. So that totally helps. So let's just say we have John Doe. And then that we helped him on the 15th of January. I typed my dates backwards, please pardon that. So if we hit benefits navigation, when we first started doing benefits navigation, you guys would see this client saying yes, no, or NA. And if you hit NA, nothing would happen. But we realized some people may need this NA for if they're doing marketing or outreach and need to pay for services that help with that. So if it's not related particularly to a client and it's not a staffing or admin charge, and it's less than $5,000, you guys can use NA to type in this new charge if you have like marketing. If we have a marketing cost, so say you guys have to pay like $1,000 for a marketing package to help you for, say, the month of February, like the upcoming month, then you guys would be able to type this in, and then you would just upload a file of 3. I tried to highlight all of that, of 3 megabytes. And then you would just hit submit. And that's all you would need to do. And it doesn't need to go under staffing. It doesn't need to go under capital expenditure. It can go right here. So aside from that, when you hit, if this is a new client, you'll see a different question comes up. These three things right here are our expanded ARPA qualifications.
Sorry to interrupt. I think Angela has a question.
Angela, okay. Sorry, I can't really see people on
No,
this.
that's why I'm here.
Oh, no, thank you, guys. So my question, kind of going back to that $1,000, that NA, is this specific for what this particular ARPA recipient can do, or is this across the board for any type of service?
So for the top 6, like from benefits navigation to rent assistance, you guys have a form that's pretty much the same, except with like one section that's different for you guys. So you can do this with benefits, utility, childcare, employment, emergency shelter, or rent assistance. If you do rent assistance, if you don't do rent assistance, ignore that part.
Okay, so then we would just go down and select NA, put in the amount, let's say $1,000 for marketing, and then that comes out of what line item? Is that just depending on how we have it, how we have our individual budgets?
So if your budget has marketing,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
if your budget has marketing allotted into that, it would come out of that.
Sorry, yeah, so it's according to your budget, but if you have things that are benefits navigation and it's not staffing and it's not with a direct client, we realize that for some folks that have that kind of thing, it could be marketing, it could be purchases of other things that are helping you do your benefits navigation, and you didn't have a place to allocate that. So that's what that's for, if it's in your budget.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, so like being able to buy your employees, say, a new computer to help them with their job or something like that. You guys can use that NA to put that charge in there.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Everyone usually should have something similar on theirs, but the top 6 here have their own way of navigating that. And that's why I wanted to show it this particular way. So if we go back and hit new client, we have these highlighted expanded qualifications. These are the qualifications that, after some research and after talking with the county, that they realized is the way to help the most people as fast as we can. So if so we're still only helping Prince William residents, but if they are a resident that is currently residing in a high food insecurity zip code, then you hit this top button right here, this top radio button. If you hit that, it will ask you to pick from the zip codes in this drop down menu. There is a note for high insecurity zip codes. If your client resides in 20110 or 20111, then we will need to add a map proof to show that they're in Prince William County and not Manassas City or Manassas Park City. We have a map checker, PWC checker right here, that helps you do that. So I'm going to hit accept. So this is what the map checker shows initially. You use the binocular button, hit premise address, and we're going to use the address for the Alliance, which is 9071 Center. You only type the name of the street in this box. I did it the first time and it will not respond if you, why is it doing that? Here we go. If you type Center Street up in this box where center is, it will not work. So then what you do is you hit submit. And over here in the right-hand side, you'll see it says no results available. If it says that, then it means that this address does not lie in Prince William County, which means that you cannot help that address. This will make it a lot easier for people to figure out who they can and cannot help. If you find out somebody is in Manassas Park or Manassas City, you guys can redirect them to Manassas Park and Manassas City because they also have their own ARPA funding. Does that make sense for everyone?
Hey, Gwen, I have a question. Is now an
Yes.
okay time to ask? Can you scroll up just a tad bit to the new requirements? So
Absolutely.
just to recap, and I apologize, I have yet to really carefully look over the email that Peggy, I know Tashbia sent an email too about this change. It's on my to-do list, but this week has been pretty hectic. So it sounds like clients only need to qualify with one of these 3 items. Is that
Exactly.
correct? It's not and, it's or, right?
Yes, it is
Okay.
either or.
Awesome. And then it sounds like forget the qualified census tracts. Now we're looking at food insecure zip codes.
Yes, and that's a good point. I was going to get to that just a little bit later. So thank you for jumping the gun for me. Actually, it helps.
It just is going to be easier and cleaner because census tracts are like strange purple blobs on that map, whereas zip codes are like everyone knows their zip code, right? It's part of your address. So
and the reason why we're doing high food insecurity zip codes is because those QCTs lie in those zip codes.
So it's actually a bigger area now that will qualify, not just the purple blob, but rather the whole zip code in which those purple blobs fall. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is going to be a game changer for our service navigators on the ground. So bless your souls. Thank you.
So yes, so once you hit the high food insecurity zip code, it'll show you these zip codes and your QCTs they will lie within these zip codes. This means that starting in the month of February, when you guys will be submitting your next reports, you do not need to fill out the QCT questions. They are now optional. They do not have any asterisks next to them. So you can just scroll right on by.
And actually, this did take effect in early January. We just didn't have the forms ready. So anybody that you've been talking to and using the checklist for, it qualifies. So if you QCT'd, you can submit it, but you won't have to. And so hopefully we'll see all your Januaries with expanded service areas. And Will, can you go back and plug in something that is in Prince William County so that you can see what it looks like when they do the screenshot? Thank you.
Absolutely, I can do that for you. So I will do this one just because I know that he won't care if I use it. This is something it's close to Manassas City, but it's not one of the ones that you need to show proof for.
So what do you mean show proof for? A screenshot of the map?
Yeah, so for 20110 and 20111, because they both lie in Manassas Park and Prince William, they rely on those two independent cities
Mhm.
and Prince William. You have to show that that address lies in Prince William. And that's where you will have to do a screenshot and supply that data.
Well, will we have to give the address, the street address of their home, because that's PII.
No, you will not. So I'm going to show you. So if I type in this address, I must have typed something wrong. Hang on.
Isn't the part is, no.
No, Colchester Park is part of the name. Give me 1 second. I typed this in earlier today and it worked. This is just my computer. This is just me having a brain blank.
So while you're doing that, so just to confirm, you don't have to do the screenshots proving all the QCTs anymore. But
Right.
when you do hit those potentials for the overlap for Manassas City and Manassas Park, when you are able, we need a screenshot to prove to us that you know that you are able. So you have proof that you checked it and they're in the county, not in the city. So
Yes.
not as many.
So I found out it's because I'm dyscalculic and I read the number backwards.
That's okay. Go ahead and show them.
So this is it's a 20112, but you don't have to take a picture of this right-hand side. But if something shows up here on this right-hand side where I highlighted, this means it's a Prince William address, and that means that it is an applicable ARPA charge.
And you
I'm
can,
not following.
pardon?
Or I
Could
think
we
one
take
thing, sorry.
I'm not following what you're asking for, I guess. A screenshot that shows exactly where the home is?
It's not going to show exactly. So you see how this dot here is? It just shows a general area. It's not showing like an exact thing. And we're not going to like use this information more than just to see that it showed up on the county mapper.
Melissa, do you have?
You have to put the address or the street with the redacted address like we did on the QCT maps, or would you just be sending this screenshot?
That's what I
prove?
was gonna say. You can redact that address and send
Yes,
it as you
similar.
have done for the QCT map. It helps us to like, again, when we said with the QCT, please redact that street name or like the house address, but please keep the street name and the zip code. It helps us to just determine that this is the right area that we're looking for. If you just show us the picture, we're not gonna know if it's the same zip code. So please redact that house address, I mean the name number, but keep the other areas. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for helping me with that, Tashbia. All right, so then once you select the zip code, we just ask for, and this is why zip code here is not a required box anymore, because of the fact that if it's one of those high-end security zip codes, we already have it. If we don't have it, then you just use this box to type in your zip code. And so after you go through that, you use the tick boxes. Let's say they're African American. One of the members of the household is disabled. Nobody is in the military. So now comes the COVID-19 question. This question will still be required to answer, but you will not need paperwork unless they are not in a high food insecure area or if they're not 55 years and older. So if somebody can come to you and say, I can provide documentation that COVID has affected me somehow, but they don't live in one of those high food insecurity zip codes, and they're younger than 55 years of age, then that's the only time you will submit that paperwork. Otherwise, you just need to ask them, how has COVID impacted you? And then you can check off that box and move on.
Hey, Wynn, can I just get can I just like repeat back my understanding of this to make sure I'm
Mhm.
double, triple, correct here? So if they check one of the 3 boxes above, I forget what they are. Oh, never. Yeah, I see. Okay, so if they live in a high food insecure zip code, they only need to verbally tell us how they've been impacted by COVID and we mark it. We do not need to collect the COVID impact form. Is that correct?
You do not need to supply it to us, no.
Okay. And then, or if they are 55 or older, we
Then
also do not need.
all you'll need is to type in their birthday.
Got it. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Exactly, that's
The
fine.
last one is the third, Prince William resident, not in high food insecurity with COVID and financial impact. So that's the one that would check if, in the example that you're providing now, correct?
Yes, where you would fill out, where regardless, you're going to have to answer this COVID impact question. But once you check off this box, if they say I have COVID and financial impact, if they fall under that third category, then you have to give us that paperwork.
Gotcha.
And so then we say that they're not, if we say they're not Hispanic, or if they just preferred to not answer, then you can hit that. Then you would use the submission link here to supply that COVID documentation. And then here, we wrote it on the question, so that way everybody knows. Unless it is prior to January of 2023, you do not have to use this question. You do not need this question. And then only use this question, did you submit all information required using the submission link? You only have to hit yes or no. You only have to hit yes or no if you uploaded COVID information documentation, or if you uploaded the ID to verify the person's age. So if you hit that the person is 55 years or older, we need to see their birthday on the form, and then we need an upload, like just a quick upload of something that confirms their age.
When we are uploading something to confirm an age, like an ID, are we also redacting the address like we would on the map?
You are more than welcome to redact that information, yes.
Okay.
I just need to be able to see the birthday. The name and the birthday is all I need.
Okay.
When do I remember correctly that on that particular one where they're submitting so much information, is that the one that's going into Alchemer? That was the extra software that we purchased to keep things HIPAA compliant, protected. Is that link there, or it's another? Link?
Yes, the information submission link takes you to Alchemer, which is where you guys submit all of these extra documentation forms. And this is our HIPAA compliant section. So anything that needs to be HIPAA compliant goes through this link.
So if you don't want to redact it, just make sure that you're using this submission link, and it maintains the HIPAA compliance privacy.
Yes, you can still redact it if you want. I've seen people use this link with redacted information, but this particular site of Alchemer, keeps everything HIPAA compliant, and it does not share any of the data.
Yeah, because some of our clients will verify that information through their military DD form 214, which has social security numbers, service numbers, which will have to, take those things off as well.
Yes. So again, you can feel free to take off whatever information you do not want to share, but it'll go through this HIPAA compliant link, so nothing will get leaked because it is an encrypted system. So then this question no longer is required, and then this question is only required if you use that submission link. So we said that this client was 55 years or older. We hit yes because we needed to supply some sort of proof that they are 55 years or older to verify their birthday. And then you would hit submit application. And that is all you would have to do. You would also have to list the reference number, which I'm going to put as 1001. Just for an example. So I'm making sure that I've covered everything. Sorry that I scroll very fast. Do we have any further questions or comments or concerns?
Did you show them the 55? It's only one little line where the birthday was. Did I just miss it? There. Thank you.
Yes, so for the birthday, we do need all 8 digits where you just type it in without the slashes, just like people asked when you put in a social security number on something. We will automatically assume where the slashes are. Just put it as month, day, and then all 4 numbers of the year.
Is that for anyone?
That's only for the 55 years and older. And that's for anybody using that particular button. Is there any other?
One quick question. What were the race options up above?
The race options, that's going to be down here.
Oh,
So we have
okay.
Asian, African American or Black, Native American, Pacific Islander, white, other, and I prefer not to say.
So if they check other, can they put down what they identify as? Because we have people coming to us that identify as things that are not listed there.
So on this form, you cannot write anything by hitting other, but if they want to write it on their documentation, then that's fine.
Okay.
Particular to what ARPA wanted to track so that we're able to give them some demographic information. So yeah, I'm sorry. So that's where that comes from, is these are what we were directed to place on the form.
Okay, all right, thanks, Peggy.
Yes. And then there's also ethnicity. So sometimes people like to say that they're Hispanic as both their race and their ethnicity, and that's completely fine. If they say that they are Hispanic, then Hispanic or Latino, then you would just mark that here on the under ethnicity and then hit other. And then that'll help with that demographic. Are there any other concerns or questions?
Winter, this is Jenny. I just want to confirm. So all of this apply to all the service above that to a utility assistant and then renter assistant, right? To everything, the first 6?
Yes,
utility
everything in the
assistant,
first
childcare.
6.
Okay, gotcha. Yep, that will be helpful a lot for our client. So it's great. Thank you.
Yes, we wanted to make this as streamlined of a change as possible, so that way everybody can help as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So before we end, which one of these is which? Okay, so this is the checklist. So Peggy updated it a couple days after she sent it out, so we will, but this is the one that is on the Foundant site. So if you click on the Foundant link for expanded ARPA qualification checklist, you will get the one that says January 14th. Peggy sent out the one that was on January 12th.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the guidelines for documentation, a photo ID to verify the name and date of birth. You can use a government issued ID. This could be a driver's license. This could be just a state ID, because they do have those, as I know, at least in the state of Virginia, we have those as a qualifying difference for people who don't drive versus people who do. We also, you can use like passports, you can use military IDs, anything that shows those two pieces of information. If the name has changed, like say somebody got married and they haven't changed their last name yet, or somebody decided to do a complete name change, just provide a narrative for any changes in documentation or anything that looks like a discrepancy, just so that way we know what's going on and it doesn't have to go back and forth getting pushed back 2 or 3 different times.
Well, worst case scenario for us is that we're working with a homeless veteran that doesn't have any documentation. We can't even completely verify probably that they are a veteran. So if we have someone like that, how do we handle that situation? If they obviously need services, they're obviously destitute, and we don't have any of that. And that's like a homeless situation.
Peggy, I think you were going to have an answer for that.
First of all, Angela, thank you for the work that you're doing with the veterans. And I understand that you're trying to get them help in any way you can. However, for the ARPA funds specifically, they are requiring us to provide that documentation. And even for these expanded services, it's not even just the county, but it is the ARPA auditors who are going back and saying, well, how far can we push this limit? Well, what if we get these pieces of documentation, but they don't match? And they're like, can we get a narrative? So we're trying to get them to give us as much wiggle room as possible. If you can't, it's one thing to have two documents that don't exactly match, but you can explain why, but to not have any documentation at all, I can't think of how I can get that past the auditors. I guess the only other thing I could say to you is if you think you've got a strong case and want to write it up, and I will email it to Sarah, and if she wants to pass it by the auditors, but basically they've set up these guidelines. If you don't have the funds to help them do what you need to do, because ARPA is the only place that you're getting those kind of funds. I know some of the other partners that are doing services not only have ARPA funds, but they have other funds that they're drawing on. So maybe, getting that partnership between you ARPA partners, that if there's somebody that you can't help, maybe there is somebody else that can step in.
Yes, no, absolutely. And thank you for offering to write it up in a worst case scenario. And we've emailed all of our partners within ARPA 2 or 3 times at this point. We have some, great relationships there, people that we've known before, people that we're meeting now. So yeah, definitely we're, leveraging, those relationships going forward and hopefully building a better coalition for Prince William County.
So yeah, basically it actually is written in the ARPA federal documentation that if you can provide an explanation for why this could apply to ARPA, you can definitely submit it, and we can ask our ARPA auditors if they will be okay with us accepting that. And worst case scenario is that it's a no, but that's the worst thing that can happen. Actually, the worst thing that could happen is not asking, but the outcome will be either yes or no, or can you provide more information? So then I'm actually going to zoom in here because this table got really tiny. So this is the income threshold that I was talking about at the beginning of the video, which is these are now the requirements instead of that 300% poverty line. These are your income requirements. If somebody hits at least this bottom portion here, I can't highlight it because it's an image, but if somebody fits this moderate income or any of these 3 lines, they qualify. They can qualify for ARPA funding. And then finally, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so that way I can read with everybody's faces on the side of the screen. Reminders for submitting supporting documentation. Whenever you scan items to create a PDF and then upload it to Foundant or into Alchemer, please make sure before you upload it that you double check and see that it is legible and readable for everybody. Even if we just have to hit the zoom button a couple times, just make sure that if you zoom in that it doesn't get all grainy and pixelated. It helps everybody in the long run to be able to do that. Self-declaration forms for COVID or financial reasons. These are a last resort. So this is only if there is no possible way other than these forms to provide supporting documentation. If your client can provide pay stubs or a medical, or a letter from their doctor or something saying that how they've been impacted by COVID, we want those first, or we want you to try to get that documentation first before using the self-declaration form for income, finance, and financial stuff. If you have to use these forms, they have to be fully filled out. We've had a couple times, it hasn't happened a lot, but we've had a couple times where people would put the name of their client and then there would be nothing on it, or maybe they were using pencil and it didn't show up. And it happens very seldom, but we wanted to make sure, please fill out the check boxes. Please make sure that your client can provide as much of a narrative as possible. And please make sure that they sign it and date it, as well as that you guys sign it and date it to show that there was a supervisor present when the form was being filled out. We want to see that everybody is working together on this. So the name of the requester or who is qualifying matches the name on the documentation. Again, if you have to provide somebody else in the household's documentation, give us that narrative and then that's all we need. So like, say John Doe doesn't work, but Jane does. And so Jane is the household income, but John is the one on the bill. I'm sorry, somebody honked their horn outside my house. So if that happens to be the case, just list that John does, like say John lost his job, but Jane is still working. And then that's all we need just to put the pieces together. Again, please use that Prince William County checker. That's going to be a lifesaver for you guys and for us. So that way nobody has to get docked at the end when auditors come by. If somebody pulls it and they're like, wait, why is this? Did you check that this was in Manassas City? We don't want anybody having to do that. And then please show the math. So this mostly applies to when you are providing invoices, timesheets, or pay stubs, but please show us the math that leads to your final request in the form. This way, it makes it easier for us to streamline your acceptance or streamline what needs to be corrected. And it makes it just faster for everybody to get the funding that they need. And when you provide documents of multiple lines or multiple pieces, whether it be a paycheck, a timesheet, which could also be listed as a schedule, an invoice, highlight the lines that are related to the charge. If you do that, again, it just makes everything go so much faster. It's a couple extra, it's like maybe an extra minute or two of your time, but then it shaves 5 to 10 minutes off of us going through your report. With that, I'm sorry that I talked your ear off for the past 10 minutes, but with that, is there anything you guys would like for me to clarify?
Hey, I just want to double, triple check. Keep saying that. I want to be super duper sure that I'm understanding this right. So, if a client lives in a high food insecure zip code, then we do not need to submit any proof of address. We just enter the address.
Yes.
And we don't need any other supporting documents or proofs or anything like that.
The only proof you need is if they are for 20110 and 20111 as listed right here.
Thank you. Perfect. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Jenny, Angela, Melissa, anything else? Yep, this is Jenny. Just again, double check, triple check, like she said, that so if we check the radio box that say it's impact by COVID, reduce income and whatnot, then we do not have to submit the COVID impact form. Is that correct?
So if you hit that they are impacted by COVID, but they are not in one of these 10 zip codes right here, then you do have to provide that COVID impact documentation.
Okay, all right. So if they are in the zip code and impact by, then we don't need to.
Yes, it is only if they are outside the zip code and they are not 55 years and older.
Okay. All right, I think I got it.
All right, if you guys start to fill out this form and end up running into any questions, you guys can feel free to email us at the Alliance. I promise we don't bite. We want everybody to be able to get through this process as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Great. I appreciate it. I still have a pending question as far as staffing, but we can talk about this offline. I know we talked about that before, but I still need answer to clarify.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
were going to review that today after all of the trainings, and
No
we will
problem.
hopefully be able to get to you at the end of the day today, okay?
Yeah, no worry. Thank you.
Thank you all
Alright.
for making this as streamlined as possible. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. It's awesome. And for your ongoing communication and clarification and being open for us and our questions and our calls and our emails. So thank you.
All right, we appreciate everybody who has come, and we appreciate all the work you guys are doing for Prince William County.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for coming.
Thank you so
and
much.
Our emails and ears are always open. Have a great day.
Yes,
Thank you.
have a great
Take
day.
care, y'all. Bye-bye.